Yeah, I just got a weird feeling, a chill that just ran up and down my body. I don't know, I really need psychiatric evaluation. I just got another flashback. I'm beginning the day with a flashback, like there was another time that I lived in the days of the Holy Roman Empire. I really believe that at one time, in the days of Caesar, I was an emperor! They called me Toucasfacius. And my bride, Sleazebagius, and I were the masters of all we surveyed. One day I was sitting in my study when Numnutzius came running in and said, "You're in confidence, there's someone at the gate." I said, "Numnutzius, I told Dildonius. Dildonius at the gate. Dildonius not to disturb me." Numnutzius said, "Yes, but Dildonius brings a message from Testicules." I said, "Oh, really? Well, what does Testicules have to say?" He said, "Here's the scroll, sire." And I read, and sure enough, Testicules informed me that Erectus and his brother Spertumle, in gratitude for how I helped him out with his son Lymplangius, had sent me a gift, the most desirable woman of all the kingdom. I said, "All right, Numnutzius, tell Hemeroidocles and Suppositorius to bring her to me immediately." He said, "Yes, your flatulence, I shall get them." I thought, what an opportune time for Sleazebagius to be shopping. And sure enough, Hemeroidocles brought her in. She was young enough for my son Forskinius, but I knew this one would be mine. It had been a long time since I'd had a comely wench. I said, "Come here, my child." And I looked at her. She was perfect in every way. She had flaxen hair, full, ripe, pouting lips, a bosom like firm apples, an innocent look, and yet dancing eyes that danced with mischief. I looked at her, I said, "How are you called, my dear?" She smiled and said, "Sire, my name is Falacia." I said, Falacia! Well, welcome to the kingdom. It's good to have you here. I'm sure I can find a place for you in the baths, or perhaps as my own personal assistant. Just then I heard at the doorway, Squaracius yelled, "Sire, Sleazebagius is back from her shopping spree, and she's on the way up to talk to you." I thought, oh my God! "Quick, Falacia, under the table." So I hid her under the table, and I quickly sat there at my desk. Just in time, too, because Sleazebagius walked in. She said, "Toucasfacius." I said, "Yes, dear." She said, "What's the matter?" "What's the matter, Toucasfacius?" I said, "Nothing, honey. How was the shopping spree?" She said, "Well, it was fine. I picked up some nice fat... Are you sure there's nothing wrong? Your forehead seems to be perspiring and your lower lip is quivering." I said, "Well, if you could... I'm not sure, but I haven't felt quite myself today, darling." She said, "Well, perhaps I should call the physician, Salmonius." I said, No, I think I think I'm all right now." She said, "Well, good. Well, if the condition should change, please notify me." I said, "Yes, darling. I most certainly will. I most certainly will." And she turned and she left the room. I said, "Quick, Falacia, now's your chance. Slip away and call me in a couple of weeks and we'll talk." She said, "Yes, my lord, I shall." But wouldn't you know, Sleazebagius must have remembered something, because as Falacia was on the way down the stairs, Sleazebagius was on the way up, marching determinedly. I thought, oh my God. I hid behind the door and listened. But fortunately, Falacia thought quickly. Sleazebagius looked at her and said, "Child, whatever were you doing upstairs in the family quarters?" And Falacia said, "Well, madam, I made sandwiches for the gods." And Sleazebagius said, "Oh, I see. Well, be more careful next time. Look at you. You've got mayonnaise all over your chin."